Hey folks, it's Lindsey Huddleston with the SPS Mental Health Moment back in the building. And man, I love what I get to do because I get to not only catch up with great people, I get to catch up with my friends who are doing great things. And right now I have Mr. Clarence Barbour with us in the building right now, representing for a number of entities, including hashtag I Buy Black on Friday, as well as the omnipresent Streets is Talking podcast and radio show he does with his partner Don in Houston, representing out of Chicago. Shout out to Carman. But this young man has been a friend of mine for so long that we go by nicknames. You can call me Lenny. I call him Sumo. Going way back. We have a very close friend together, Demetrius Blackshears. Demetrius Meathead Blackshears, who's probably going to watch this and be bobbing his head back and forth. That's our brother as well. But Clarence, what's up, brother? How you doing today?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. Blessed to be here, man. Blessed to be here.
Let me just say, man, I appreciate our friendship, and I appreciate your technical support, meaning having that one player in the clique that knows about the audio, visual, that had the cameras back when cats didn't even had the cameras, was shooting the videos and doing the outstanding athlete tapes and videos that help these young men go from, being prep stars to collegiate stars and some on to the NFL. So you've been immersed for a while, but what I also appreciate is your level of consciousness. You were woke before most people got woke. It's not a new thing. So I'm not surprised that your hashtag I Buy Black on Friday it isn't just something that's random. So before we go any further, let's talk about what brand you're wearing, the hashtag and what that means to you and what it should mean to everybody else.
Well, pretty much it's called hashtag is I Buy Black on Friday. We spoke a little bit earlier just to give people a little background of really what it is. Everybody knows Black Friday, but that's the day after Thanksgiving. Essentially, one day called Black Friday. But who actually goes to support Black businesses on that Black Friday? It's more of everybody running out grabbing the corporate deals, TVs, whatever, on sale. So what my partner, Don, Carman, he pretty much came up with the idea of, let's take our Fridays back for the whole year. Why would we just support a day they call Black Friday that they're not even really supporting us on Black Friday? So the goal is, hey, let's take every Friday of the year for the rest of the year and let's go out and spend some dollars with our own people, show our own people some love. And then once you think about it, when does everybody get paid? Everybody gets paid on Friday. So if you get paid on Friday, exactly. Go ahead and support a fellow Black business owner, small, big, and, spend some money with ourselves.
I can't help but talk about the cultural impact of that, because as African Americans who have historically have limited discretionary income, it's just interesting when you talk about using the day Friday to make a purchase, because psychologically, that's the day when you have all your resources in many cases and you're more likely to give. So that's a good thing. And I want to say thank you, because you supported my book a week ago Friday. You bought a new copy of the book, The SPS Edge, A Guide to Mental Toughness in Sports and Life Post-COVID-19. So you're putting your words, you're putting your money where your mouth is, and I appreciate that. And there's also an opportunity with the Streets is Talking. I want to talk about that for other businesses to be able to get some great airtime by dealing with some of your sponsorship packages that you guys are putting together. You want to touch on that for a little while too?
Oh, well, pretty much. Well, we had a great opportunity presented to us with 107.5 here in Detroit, WGPR, shouts out and a big thank you. We have packages that can help you promote your business, pretty much on the airways. Nothing too expensive, for all business owners. If you need, opportunity, feel free to reach out to me and, we can get you on the airways. It's definitely an opportunity to expand in this day and age. So
well, do me a favor. We'll do it now and at the end. Give some brief contact information for you, for someone who's listening right now and they're ready to take that down. And we'll make sure we do it at the end too.
Okay, well, you can actually call the number 313-523-4040. And, we have people on the lines that's ready to take your call, honestly, and just set you up and see what you're looking for. If you're looking to promote your business, we have some other little neat avenues that we can do, e-marketing, mobile marketing, the keyword, interviews on the radio, mentions, the whole nine, man. So definitely, we actually, a young lady, she's coming out today at 8 o'clock. Her name is Strawbella. She has a clothing line. It's a kids' clothing line for young ladies. So she was on a radio show last week. She did an interview, and just with our mobile marketing, she received over 50 text messages to her business. And what it did, it allowed people to get a sneak peek at her website that's going to drop today. So we got some little, some nuances that can help you out.
Yeah, brother, we're going to definitely talk offline. We talked a little bit more about me finding the right space to fit in, not only to support you, but to be able to get in that thing. Let's talk, staying on that. You guys put out an amazing podcast called The Streets is Talking. This kind of dropped right when we were in the midst of the COVID pandemic lockdown. And when I talk about, man, it was such a cathartic experience being able to come on and talk to you and other great people you brought from around the world.
Right.
You had people who were ground zero in China and Wuhan. We were on the phone at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You had people who was outside in the light talking about, yeah, I'm here in China. This was going on. So it was far-reaching. But I just think that in the wake of George Floyd's passing, and Streets is Talking started before that, there's a level of consciousness and almost an unapologetic blackness going on. And I probably really think, and I want to get your thoughts on that, many Americans, non-black Americans, probably think, dang, these black people just all of a sudden start, really, feeling a certain way. Like, nah, we always been feeling like this. But it's like those mental walls have come down that allow us to express it. That's why people are expressing things so well. But it just feels like there's this unapologetic blackness that's going on that I'm totally cool with, that we can take advantage of. So what's your thought on that?
My thoughts of it is, I think people have always had the thought process of enough is enough. But I think the George Floyd incident, I like to call it, the pot just bubbled over to the floor.
Ooh.
That's just pretty much
man,
what.
Say that again, because when people say awesome things on this platform, I just say it one more time. The pot bubbled over to the floor.
The pot bubbled over to the floor. I
got that visual. Because when it bubbled over to the floor, you got to stop everything. You got to be like, hold on.
We got to stop it.
We got a problem.
Stop it. We need a mop. We need some towels. We need something to get this stuff up. Well,
now, mom like, hold on. Don't nobody come in the kitchen. Stop. Everything stop. Hey, I need your help. It's like all hands on deck.
All hands on deck, and that's pretty much where we are right now. The fact that we watched another African American be killed out in the streets in that manner. Now that was a whole new manner. Taking a knee to the neck. That was it.
And brother, until you just said that, just like that, that is the first time I made a correlation between the knee. The peaceful protest and Colin Kaepernick taking the knee, and the neck to kill him. I just made that correlation right there. Yeah. And how powerful that is. I guess I had a post-traumatic experience. I call it my post-Trayvon Martin experience as a black man in America. Because when Trayvon Martin got killed, not only did the killing bother me, but I was so shocked and I was so upset at my own negativity when people started responding the way they did in support of George Zimmerman. And I was like, and I remember all my life growing up, remember what my parents were telling me and the things I would hear, but because of my ability to navigate, certain spaces, whether it's political space or whatnot, I wasn't just saying it's not real, but I just, didn't have that reality. So after Trayvon Martin, my eyes were open. And now I'm at a point where, whether you call it the remnants of a slave mentality, and I know it's a heavy thing to say, but I'll repeat, the remnants of a slave mentality, that I almost have more concern about what we say as black people as far as how white people go take it. And I'm starting to get closer to a place to not worry about white fragility and those white snowflake tears that people talk about, and just stay focused on, look, if you're really down, you understand what's going on, and I'm just trying to do my best to make it happen for my people. Last thing I want to say before I go back to you, you heard for so long that why don't black people just support their own businesses? But then we got to be taken back to those history lessons. Tulsa, Oklahoma's, the Rosewoods, all these other black Wall Street and thriving black businesses that were successful, and then you had people tear that down. So here we are still trying to make a mass movement to be, self-sufficient, supportive of ourselves, with that. And I guess that was just me just having a brain dump and putting all that out there. And I know that was a lot, but I just want to get your thoughts on those things and what stood out to you or what you want to respond to.
Well, here's the thing. You know, speaking of Black Wall Street, today today will be our 13th show of the podcast of Streets Are Talking, and definitely you're always welcome to come on.
And I do feel welcome there too.
And today will be our Black Wall Street show, where pretty much we're inviting all businesses to come on and tell us about your business and let the people know what you do. You know, we want to generate business for businesses. Is no cost, people. You come on the show, tell us what you do. How can you be contacted? When is the best time to contact it? What do you specialize in? What services do you offer? Come on the show. So, you know.
And I got to keep that in mind, you know, in keeping with the theme of sports psychology solutions, you know, when I left a life of politics, it surprised a lot of people. And it's so ironic that just yesterday I was having lunch with a friend and I ran into some of my old colleagues, a lot of guys who were lobbyists, who are lobbyists in Lansing, all white males. And I just say that to paint the picture. Probably most of them conservative, but guys I used to rock with. We was getting money. We were 6-figure dudes, if not 7 figures for some of them. And it was just so ironic, Clarence, because when I walked away from my corporate position as a corporate lobbyist with Walmart approximately 9 years ago, I did it with the goal of being where I'm at, man. And let me tell you something. I was so happy that as those guys was running out, taking phone calls and doing their thing, that I was able to be focused on what I'm doing, releasing my second book, having this kind of platform to talk to you with no fear of retribution.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. A lot of us can't even say what we really feel because in the job market or some way we feel that it can come back and hurt us. So going back to the sports psychology thing, you know, athletes, particularly, you know, wealthy, you know, African-American athletes have so much power and influence they're trying to utilize. And I think what we're doing, we're utilizing the common theme we have with our love for sports to be able to influence business, culture, community, and all these things. So I just want to put it out there to say that there's a common thread. And sports has been that thing to bring us together. Let's talk about some of your earlier entrepreneurial endeavors that can be an inspiring situation to others. When you were doing a lot of videography and helping young men get promoted in sports with some of the teams you were covering. You want to talk about the genesis of that and how you kind of started out with that and how you moved on to doing your drone work and all those type of things from an entrepreneurial standpoint?
Well, yeah, it pretty much just started actually. I am a Henry Ford Trojan, class of 95. So, you know, right. What's up, Trojan Nation?
We'll have Dennis Reed on here after you.
Okay. Dennis, he's still doing the plays. He's still doing the plays.
He's doing plays, movies. Dennis doing so much, but Dennis is killing the game.
Good. That's definitely good to hear, to see our fellow Trojans still out here chasing it, you know, still chasing it. But for me, it was just, I graduated. Things really wasn't going, you know, how we expect them to go.
They never do. Never
do. Jumped on a plane, moved to Atlanta. You know, worked for Delta Airlines, was a ramp agent, you know, really fun job. Ramp agent. Well, hey, I was this guy. I was wing walker. I was bringing the planes in.
You the guy everybody was trying to mimic all the time.
Yep, out there. And then pretty much I decided to, you know, come back home and pursue videography and photography because my dad is a photographer. And then one of my uncles who passed away, Ed Johnson, Uncle Ed, he was like, man, you know, you have a lot of camera knowledge. Why don't you just go ahead and go to school and just really learn how to do it? And then the light bulb came on. I was like, you know what? That's a good idea.
We stop right there, man, because I love, one thing I love about having this platform is the opportunity to dissect things that can help other people. Now, one, you said the light bulb came on. Do you think it would not have come on had it come from someone else? Because clearly there was a respect you had for your Uncle Ed. If you would, do you think it had a lot to do because it came from him compared to somebody else, or was it just a culmination of things that made the light bulb come on? May have froze up on me a little bit. He gave me the long, inquisitive look, so he's going to pop back in a second. he's giving me the stoic face. But I think we had a little internet connection. Being a media guy, you got to just keep it going. So I'm sure he's going to come back and pop back in a second. He could have been talking this whole time. Lindsay Huddleston with Sports Psychology Solutions. Another mental health moment with my guy Clarence Barbour, talking about I Buy Black on Friday. Clarence, out for a second. Can you hear me okay? I have a little technical difficulty. I may have lost him completely, but I got a feeling he's going to jump back in. We're going to be okay. I lost you for a second, but look, I didn't skip a beat, my baby. It was good. Don't even worry. So the question I posed to you was, did the light come on because it was your uncle that you had respect for, or was it a combination thing? I was just wondering what was very unique about it coming on at that moment.
I think it was just, like I say, we was just out in the backyard, and he just kind of randomly, just said it, because what it was is he was like, yeah, it's really not too much going on here. You guys might as well find a niche that you can do. And hey, your dad is a photographer. You already know kind of how to do the camera work, but you might as well just continue on and learn everything you can about it. So I was, it just, at that moment, it was like, that's a good idea.
Let me stay on that for a second. What about those who have people in their family that already have strong skill sets in particular lanes, whether it's photography, who knows, whatever other skill set, who say, I don't want to do what my dad did, when you have that type of thing? Was that the case with you in any way?
Well, it's funny, because here's the thing. My dad, he's a Vietnam veteran, so he did photography in Vietnam.
Wow.
And, he worked for Chrysler, 30 plus, and he would go to a lot of cabarets. He's a he was a hair designer, barber, and he did women's hair. So it would always be like fashion shows and parties. So what would end up happening in my younger years, he would always give me the VHS.
Yeah.
Big boy.
You can like looking like Channel 7.
Right. So I used to just walk around and just, with the camera and just video the events. Uh-huh. And I guess me having that like background once I was younger, the situation of me coming back home and my uncle saying it, I guess it just kind of, I didn't even really think twice about it. He said it, and I was like, you know what?
Okay.
Hey, Specs Howard, right up the street.
Right up the way, if you know where we from.
And then I went in. What was funny, once I remember my first day I walked in, and honestly, what I was going for was to be on the radio. That was initially, because he was like, do the video, but then I was like, oh, this is a broadcasting school.
Yeah.
So I went in, and I never forget, they gave me the it's a read you have to do. So they gave me the slip. They was like, go in the studio and do your read. And they recorded. They recorded on this is back in the day. Now we had the cassette tapes and the reel to reel.
Please listen to my demo.
Exactly.
Right.
So I did my read, and I was like, oh, I like this. I like the radio side. So I enrolled. Well, once you enroll back at that time in Specs, you learn both sides. So it was a radio concentration and a video concentration.
Wow.
Well, after so long in the program, what happens is you hit the crossroad. They say, all right, which side you gonna choose? Do you want to go radio or do you want to go video? Well, the radio side, I was like, man, I like it. But then once we did the video side, I was like, oh, wow. Like, that was my first experience with green screens. I never forget it. I had to do my read, but in video, and it was being a sportscaster at the desk. And once I did that, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to go over the video.
Yeah.
and learn the video.
You felt like you was betraying yourself. You felt like you was, maybe something.
You know what? at the time it didn't, but what's funny now that I'm doing, the radio show, and I end up announcing my son's youth football game last year in the booth. So I was the play-by-play guy. Mm-hmm. And this is, in all honesty, man, people were going crazy. Really? Like, I came out the booth, because I coached too. So first of all, they didn't know it was me up there. They like, every time
they're hearing you over the speaker.
Right, they could hear me over the speaker. So a kid had a run, and I'm just like, he's to the 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown. And the crowd was just going nuts. So then after I got out, the game was over. I'm walking down the steps, and I had my coaching stuff on. Everybody was like, Coach, was that you? And I was like, yeah. It was like, man, you missed your calling. And from the whole day, they were coming to my wife. My mom was at the game. My kids, players was coming up to my kids like, that was your dad? And it was just like, wow. Exactly. That's exactly what it, I was literally blown away, but it wasn't really anything big to me, because we used to do the same thing playing the video games. Right. We used to commentate us playing the video, right?
Yeah. Hey, there was a little trash talking that part.
Exactly. So it just kind of, it just went with, everything that I have been doing. And once I tell you, it was kind of like an eye opener, like, wow. Like, and I'm telling you, people that I had never known were coming up to me. It was to the point where they was like, hey, can you announce next week? It was like, can you do the next game? And then my head coach was like, no, he can't do the next game. We got to get ready to, You
shutting that down. Was Coach hating a little bit, though? Was he hating a little bit?
No, because I totally understand. We invest a lot of time into our team. So, I like to have my one-on-one time with my D-line and my offensive line. Yeah. So, it was definitely all love. And like I say, it was from the whole organization where they was like, hey, can you do our games? Hey, can you do the varsity game next week? Can you?
So whatever happened after that with you doing anymore?
Well, actually, I didn't get a chance to do any more games because the normal announcer, is funny because the normal announcer came and he was like, how am I supposed to follow that? And it was just, throughout practice, everybody was like, man, you really good. Like you're really good. And then ever since I've been on the radio, I've had a few, loved ones, tell me, my wife, even Carman, like, man, you really have a voice for the radio. You sound good coming across the airwaves. So, it's definitely something I enjoy doing. I
want to put a pause on that for a second. And for our viewers, I think it's important, man, when they kind of go back and look at your story. And we're not done with your story. I want to talk about, the other part, when you start doing the videos and whatnot. But I think it's important, man, for people when they all come to that crossroad. You talked about being out of school, things not going the way you want. I mean, that's everybody's story, though they may not say it,
right,
or recognize it. But taking wisdom and being smart enough to say, well, you're right, because it may not sound sexy at the time. Going to Specs Howard. In other words, investing in yourself. Because a lot of people will hate on Specs Howard. I think familiarity breeds contempt. Oh, you talking about Specs Howard over there by Northland? Yeah, right. Anyway, fast forward to being able to be vulnerable enough to try something new, and then also realize, man, that our skills come back at different times in our lives to be utilized. You know what I'm saying? Right. So take me to the part where you end up doing video for a lot of these athletes, particularly football and basketball, that really helped these guys. So talk about how that came about.
Well, it started pretty much, you're familiar with Calvin Mann.
Yep. Calvin.
He pretty much was like, hey, his son, Calvin Mann II, was over at Farmington Harrison. So he was like, I want to introduce you to this other guy whose name was Mark Dale. Mark Dale went to Michigan State. He was a two-sport, maybe even a three-sport athlete, but I know for sure he was a two-sport basketball player and football player. And they hired me to follow him through his 11th and 12th grade years.
Wow.
At Farmington Harrison. And pretty much what happened from there, I did all his film for basketball, football, and then I did his highlight reels, and he pretty much got an offer from Michigan State. Via the highlight reels and all the film that I had done, and I went with him to his ESPN announcement. Well, back in the day, the ESPN was actually, you would go here in Detroit, they had a little studio, and he made his announcement in studio. And that's what kind of, started the whole effect. People start realizing, oh man, these highlight reels, they actually work. And what's crazy was, I hadn't really, well, hold on, before we even go there, I'm gonna tell you what actually really prompted that to happen. So I got an internship with the Detroit Pistons. So coming out of specs, now this is how God works, because I'm a true believer of God has your life in his hands. Mm-hmm. So mind you, I graduated. I'm like, okay, what's next? That's always the question after you graduate. What's next? Where can I go work? This, that, and other. Right. Well, here's how God worked in my life. My cousin, who is, watch this, my cousin, who is Uncle Ed's son, who was an insurance agent, had an insurance claim on 75, headed to the Palace. So I don't know if it was a fender bender or what. So he pulls up to the scene, my cousin Will. He pulls up to the scene and he's talking to the young lady about, the accident or whatever. And then he says, yeah, my cousin just graduated from Specs Howard, and he's looking for an internship or anything in the area because he found out she worked for the Palace. She was like, hey, here's my number. Have him give me a call. And that's how I gave her a call. And from there, I walked in the Palace of Auburn Hills. I was pretty much given a job called a logger. So I'm like, what is a logger? So they sit me down. They say, okay, here's your duties. You have to go, you're going to do 42 home games. No, you're going to do 41 home games and 41 away games, but you're going to go to CW50 at the time to get the remote feeds from wherever the Pistons were playing. So I'm like, me? Like,
I'll be at the home games. I'm covering all the league games, the whole
like, I'm just like, me? I'm going to be doing that? She was like, yeah. She was like, come on in. I want to show you your office. We walked, it wasn't per se my office, it was the media office. But we walked into the office and I had a cubicle. And guess who my cubicle was next to?
Who?
George Blaha.
Stop playing.
Now, Lizzie, you already know from a kid from Detroit.
George Blaha. Gotta love George.
7 Mile dude who watched the Pistons lose to Boston, Adrian Dantley, Vinnie Johnson colliding heads at the birthday party, at my birthday party as a kid, being in tears because we thinking we about to
right.
Just sitting next to the guy that made the call for all these games I have watched.
He is such a down-to-earth person.
Oh man, it was like a dream came true, man. It was like pinch me. So with that job, I'm sitting next to him, and he was like, hey, how's it going, Clarence? Blah, blah. I'm like, I just kind of had to, like, woo, like, okay, this is Blaha. So then he's there. Bill Lambier sticks his head in the door. I'm like, okay, all right. So then my boss, Jimmy, he was like, all right, Clarence, here's the keys. You hear me? Here's the keys to the video archive room of the Pistons. Here's the keys to the video board at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Here's the keys. Your job for every game, you have to make sure the video board is running. You have to make sure all the concourse video screens are up and going. This is all part of the logger job. So I'm like, okay, what else I got to do for logging? He was like, all right, so let me show you where you're going to be working for the games. So I go into the studio, and I have a straight up desk with decks, tapes, 4 or 5 TVs. He says, so this is what you have to do. You have to write down every single thing that happens that's a score. So essentially, we had a log sheet. Mm-hmm. So you would write the time code. So let's say at the time, Chucky Atkins was on the Pistons. Yeah. So this was before Chauncey and all them. This was right before them. Right. So it would be like 2:32. Chucky Atkins hits the 3. Pass from so-and-so. You write it down, log it. So I used to do games just like that, the whole games. Now, mind you, I'm part of the whole media conglomerate. So I don't really, at the first week, I don't really realize how big this is. Yeah. So understand that. I'm just like, oh man, I got to, man, woo, okay. He's like, after the game, you have to go talk to the NBA official and give them the tapes to send off to the league. So I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So then I finally figure it out. Well, this is when I learned the whole media of how things really, really, really ran. Right. You know, it was a step-by-step process. We had to be there 4 hours before every game. We end up, man, I had lunches and dinners with John Hammond, Walt Frazier. I'm talking about NBA greats. We would all be just sitting at a table, mm-hmm. just having a free-for-all, lunch brunch before every game. I never forget, I'm sitting down eating, and Memento Core, once he was a Piston, just walks in like, hey guys, how's everybody doing? And it showed me that, everybody is just normal people. Yeah. This is just their job set. So I got kind of comfortable with how things were ran. I was there for all type of trades. Once Rip was traded for Stackhouse, I was there setting up, just the area, just learning. Well, I worked for Stan Fracker, who was the executive producer of the Palace. Mm-hmm. And he was the lead editor also. Mm-hmm. So he said, hey, bring your log sheets to the edit room. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I grab my log sheets, I go up to the edit room, and he starts reading off the time codes. We put the tapes into the deck. Yeah. And he'll say, just go to 234. And he'll scroll up to 234. And what I had written down was what they were using for the Jumbotron highlight reels at the Palace.
So these are your words that will come across the Jumbotron on the Palace?
Well, no, not necessarily my words, but the plays.
Yeah, sure.
So how everything that they did for the highlight reels, they had to read the log sheets to find to find the plays that they want.
You were an integral part to that whole process.
Man, and I didn't really realize it until one day I went out on the floor, because mind you, once you're a Palace employee, you can pretty much kind of move and shake how you want to move and shake. Yeah, around the arena. And I looked on the Jumbotron screen and I saw the edit that we had did the day before. And right then and there, I was like, I can do this on a smaller scale for high schoolers. Because the thing was, my thought, I always had this thought of everybody wants to be the guy.
Yeah, right.
It's easy to do a highlight reel for the guy. But what about that guy that doesn't get a lot of minutes? But once he does get his minutes, he takes full advantage of.
Wow.
So my thought process was, I'm going to be the highlight guy for that guy.
Smart.
So
strategy that you went after.
Exactly. And I did that. I worked for the Palace almost 2 years, man. I did concerts. I did motorcycle events. I did circuses. I did arena football, WNBA. I watched Karl Malone's daughter sit on Karl Malone's lap after they won the championship. Chauncey's crazy run once he went nuts against Philly.
Yeah.
Man, I saw so much stuff, and I saw how, the Palace entertainment, they just kept building it. And, it was to a point where Stan in that whole division, they won an Emmy. They won an Emmy for their presentation of Palace Vision. And it was a very eye-opening experience. And I enjoyed, man, I tell anybody, that job, like I saw, you name them, I saw them. I saw how big Yao Ming was. Yeah. I thought Shaq was big. And then I saw Yao Ming. No, I thought Shaq was big until I saw Yao Ming.
Yeah. That deal.
Man, I was like, and then it was just one more instance that just really opened my eyes, man. I went and did a commercial shoot with them over at the Pistons practice facility. And that was just, that's when I got to meet Corliss Williamson, Ben Wallace, by then Chauncey was on board. And it was just surreal, man. It was just like, wow, like these are the people that we watch. These are the people that we, not so much idolize, but we respected at a high level,
right?
Because they had made it. They made it. And
it was a velvet rope to get there. You couldn't get up there with those guys. You had.
Man, it was amazing. It really was. So that was the start of the whole, highlight reel and learning, because I learned by doing my log and watching Stan pretty much edit film.
Well, let's do this, man, in the interest of time, because I want to be able to wrap up. I also want you to finish with a cool story that we talked about your dad before we go off, man. So one thing I want to go back to, I was talking to my mom the other day, and I'm fortunate the work I do with Jack Ebeling. Not only do I get to be a panelist on Press Pass and have the press credentials, but he's announced that I'm going to come on as a producer and director of the show.
Okay.
And I remember my mom making a comment, said, "Baby, that's great to go on your resume." I said, "Mama, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have no resume no more. It's great for my bio." And I think it's the difference. The difference between, I'm not necessarily looking for a job from someone else because I'm trying to grow my brand, Sports Psychology Solutions, continue to do what I want to do. But the experience you talk about are great for your bio. So when they introduce you and tell your story, it'll go as part of that. And I think that's important to know, how you can gain the skill set that you can later utilize. So here's the one thing I want to wrap up with before we go. I want you to definitely be able to, in this last segment, share your contact information. I want you also, man, if you could, you talked about your dad, man, just tell the story about your dad and Vietnam vet. We appreciate his service. And I hope you'll watch this about him, you, and our guy Meathead being at a game and your dad taking on some coaching responsibilities for himself. You tell that story one more time, man.
I mean, not to throw anybody under the bus. I mean, I pretty much was working out at Orchard Lake. I had a few kids that I was doing film for out there, and the stands was full. So it was a crossover game. Uh-huh. So you had a team from Detroit come in to play Orchard Lake. So I had to shoot over to the visitor side to get the film. Well, Meat's with me. My dad is with me. We got the equipment. We walk on up to the stand, set up. By second quarter, the game is out of hand.
Yeah.
I mean, is the numbers is like 35 to 7, and it's like mid second quarter.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'm videoing. And my dad, he's a big sports guy too. So he, all shouts out to my dad, big fan. That's why I love the game so much too. He's pacing. Now he's pacing in the stands, and I'm like, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? Pops is like, man, they can do better. They just letting them run up and down the field. I'm like, Dad, Orchard Lake is a powerhouse. This is what they do. And I had already pre-told him previously before we came, like Orchard Lake is that deal. Like
and these are my clients too. Orchard Lake is cutting the check.
Yeah. So I say, okay. He just walks off the stands. So I'm like, I look at me like, everything good? He's like, yeah. So I'm videoing. Now I'm videoing. So
you can't even get away. You locked in.
Yeah, I'm videoing what's going on the field. So I'm panning, and I look at my camera, and my dad is going through the gate to the opposing team's sideline. So I give Meek the F. Meek, what is he? He just, Meathead, he just busts out laughing like, and I'm like, dog, I know he. So I'm still panning. Now, mind you, it's a play going on. So I'm following the guy run down the field.
You working.
I'm following the guy running down the field. So about time he got down the field, they scored. They back on the sideline. You got the little break once the kickoff come.
Right.
Pops done sit on the bench, put his arm around the visitors team players, and he's giving them a motivational speech on how on how you guys can do better. Don't let them just run up and down. And I'm looking over to the opposing sideline like, dude, what? Well, gratefully, the players, they line up on the sideline, so you can't really see what's going on.
Right.
But I'm looking at all of this. He done stood up.
Oh, my God.
Turned around and faced them, and y'all can do this. And you gotta put your hands on him. You gotta block. You gotta get him down the field. And Meathead is dying laughing. And I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there, man. And I'm like, I know this guy is not coaching the opposing team. The head coach or a coordinator realizes what's going on, and he turns and looked and was like, who is that? So by then, my dad done made a quick left, and he done dipped back out the gate and came back up in the stands. I pressed pause on the camera the next play. I'm like, Pops, what are you doing? You do realize I'm here for Orchard Lake. Like this may not go well if they figure out.
Yeah.
Like
what did he say?
He said, man, I just couldn't keep watching these boys just get ran up and down the field. I was like, Pops, you not gonna stop Orchard Lake from running up and down this field. This is what they do. This is what they do. They got 3 running backs that you ain't no stopping them.
Right.
Just come on, sit down, please. Please, just come sit down right here. Just come sit down. So what we end up doing, I said, bring your photography camera.
Yeah.
Next time. So that way you can just take pictures. If you want to get close to the action, you just take your pictures. You can be on the sideline and
smart.
Please don't go to the opposing.
Keep them occupied.
Don't go to the opposing team's sideline and try to coach them up. Like just.
Oh my God. Brother, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I love what we talked about buying black. I love hearing your inspirational story that can help somebody else, brother. But you have made my day retelling that story. Your dad deciding to go coach the opposing team, dog.
Oh man, it was classic.
It is classic to this day, and I think somebody's life is gonna be blessed if they watch it. So,
hey, shouts out to my dad, man. He just had surgery.
Okay.
So, I really haven't been out and about, except with him.
Take care.
Back and forth to the hospital, getting him, situated.
Make sure he watches this.
Yeah, man. And
we let him know we thinking of him, and we love him for who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
So can you give us your contact information one more time?
Well, I can be reached personally at 248-247-4257. If you need any info regarding the Streets Are Talking video podcast or the Streets Are Talking radio show, or our hashtag, I Buy Black on Friday. And just, to let the people know, the I Buy Black hashtag is just that. So all we want you to do, just if you spend some money with a black business, use the hashtag I Buy Black. You go in the database, and the business goes right into the database of the hashtag, and other people can see all the black businesses that are being supported, and that can, turn around and give you more business because people see, they support this particular business. Like I was at
that on social media platforms.
Social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Okay.
I Buy Black on Friday.
Okay.
You can also go to our Streets Are Talking live video podcast website. If you have any questions or you want to see anything. Or I can give you Carman's number.
Yep.
Pretty much 630-312-9658. You can call him direct if you want to inquire about the mobile marketing. Please get on board with this mobile marketing thing. It's really changing the game as far as just in the time that we're living in. It's not a lot of people out and about, but It's a way that you can pretty much promote your business via text messaging. If you think about it, once a text come across your phone, most people stop doing what they're doing to read the text.
Yeah.
So
they have it logged in right there.
Exactly. So if you're a business and you're looking for a keyword, like yourself, I was telling you, like yourself, for your SPS, you can have the keyword SPS, text the keyword, text to 24376, keyword SPS. If you want to schedule any consultations.
Yeah.
So what happens is people that text SPS to that number, you receive the database of everybody that's texting you. And now you're able to design 10% off your next 10% off your next meeting. Yeah. If you have something going on, like I saw you was up at East Lansing doing the talking to the athletes.
Yep.
So that's another way you could have them text the keyword SPS to find out my next event, where I'm going to be at. So now people are texting to see where you are, and you pretty much building this database of people that you can always network with and pretty much tell people about your business, give them offers, the whole nine. And if you just really want to take it to that next level, come on the radio show, and now you're being broadcasted 80 miles, understand us, 80 miles each way out of the Detroit area. So that's east, west, north, and south. You're able to promote your business 80 miles in the city.
Outstanding. Well, you guys heard it here on the SPS Mental Health Moment. My guy, Clarence Barbour, great videographer, true entrepreneur, and the son of Clarence Barbour too, as well. Will come out and coach to lose a team.
Coach and lose a team.
Take it over. Brother, I appreciate you, and we're going to keep fighting a good fight out here, man. So with that, I appreciate you, and we're going to follow up some more. But thanks for all that you do, and good luck going forward.
Man, I definitely appreciate you and your platform. I definitely appreciate you and your support since week one. And now we at week 13. Week 13, and it's, like I say, we went from a video podcast to 107.5 WGPR. So I definitely, like I say, I appreciate you. Whatever I can do, to help, feel free to give me a shout, and I'm there.
Yep, and your book is in the mail, too. I just sent that out, too.
I appreciate it. I'll put it right with the other one. Your first one, got a copy of that one, had to get the second one. So definitely keep it going, man. I've always watched you from a distance at school. Mm-hmm. Always was a great guy, moving and shaking, always positive, always kept everything, close to your vest. Love it.
I love you too with that, brother. So with that, we're going to catch up and we'll talk some more on the back end.
Sounds good.
All
hey,
right.
If you're not doing nothing, hey, come on to the show tonight. Let everybody know.
I'm looking forward. I'm making plans for that.
Sounds good.
Okay.